But I can't help but remember that a million years ago when I went to IJJ, the principal of IJJ, the general studies principal of IJJ, was a gentleman by the name of Mr. Herman Winter. He was a committed showman mitzvahs and was no stranger to the basic medrash. But when he introduced himself to people, he introduced himself as the Gaisha principal at IJJ. So I guess I'm filling that role as a consultant. So the easy thing to tell you, and I think that Rabbi Stein already alluded to it, is that even before I began consulting with him, he had very, very carefully begun to construct the general studies curriculum, which not only meets all the standards that are necessary for high school graduation in New Jersey, and not only make sure that we're very aware of what the colleges expect of kids when they get to college, and the skills and the proficiencies that they should develop. And also to be sure that, for instance, this year when the SATs are changing, that we will make sure that our faculty knows exactly what the new SATs are all about, what the requirements that the juniors will need to worry about this spring are. That's the easy part. The hard part is to make sure that these courses go beyond those basics, and to make sure that over the course of 4 years in high school, students learn how to acquire knowledge, how to use knowledge, how to articulate it both orally and in writing, how to develop a sense of the world around them, and never forgetting the primacy of Heichal HaTorah to also understand the importance of general studies in one's life and how that makes one a better citizen, a better person in terms of his development as he goes through college and through one's profession. So we've designed a curriculum that we think fits that very well. So you'll be hearing, as Rabbi Stein said, you'll be hearing from 3 of our wonderful teachers, and they will give you much more information. They will be representing the math, science, and English departments. You'll get a lot of information from them on what they teach. I just want to very quickly review with you what our general studies curriculum looks like. Starting with science. All of our boys take biology, chemistry, and physics in grades 9, 10, and 11. Whenever possible, those classes are divided by the ability of the students, particularly when we get into a subject like physics, where quantitative reasoning is so important. We want to make sure that the boys who are very, very strong in math take a very strong physics class. And we want to make sure that even boys for whom math is not their strongest subject are taking a good, solid physics class, and emerging from those 3 years with a solid understanding of the laboratory sciences. And in the 4th year, those boys who would like to continue with the laboratory science will be given the option of taking an advanced placement course, depending on the year, depending on the kid's interests in biology, chemistry, or physics. And for other boys in the senior year, there will be a whole series of other possible electives in both the sciences and the social sciences, such as computer programming, etc. And the goal is, of course, not just to prepare them for standardized tests, not to make sure that they can jump through whatever hoops the ACT or SAT puts before them in sciences, but to make sure that they begin to think about science, to understand science, to begin to understand a little bit about how scientists operate and what it means to be a scientist in the real world. Our English department is very, very much communications oriented. Certainly we're interested in cultural literacy. We're interested in making sure that our boys, as appropriate, are introduced to what our Lichtenstein used to call the best and brightest of Western culture. And we would like them to be exposed to that. But more important than that, beyond that cultural literacy, we want to make sure that they can write. We want to make sure that as they leave Heichal, going off into colleges, going off into professional lives, that we've done the best job we can possibly do teaching them to write. So besides literary works, we make sure they're also reading a significant amount of nonfiction. We are preparing them for the standardized exams. Our stronger 11th grade boys already are taking a course which is the AP Language and Composition course, which is just a very good, strong course that 11th grade honor students ought to be taking. But throughout the curriculum, for all the boys, whether they come into school with a natural flair for language, whether writing comes easily or not, we will be working with them, putting them through their paces and writing throughout the curriculum for all 4 years. And that bleeds as well into the history curriculum, because history also gives us the opportunity to develop some very specific skills. We want to make sure they can write a coherent paper. We want to make sure they develop research skills. We want to make sure they can read a textbook, extract information from a textbook and use it intelligently, to organize their ideas coherently, to do revolutionary things, the most high school kids think is ridiculous, like writing an essay which actually answers the question that you've been asked. So we'll be working with them. The sequence right now is in the 9th grade, they're taking a course in ancient and classical history. There's a 2-year sequence in American history for 10th to 11th grade, and the seniors will be taking the European history course. The exact nature of those courses, the exact configuration will change over the years. Obviously, Heichal and all schools should be a work in progress. There's no particular prescription for which history courses need to be taken in which year, and we will tailor that to the needs of the boys as we go from year to year. And finally, in mathematics, everybody at Heichal starts in geometry. We decided to start everybody in the same place in geometry, because that way we have the opportunity to really get to know them. We want to make sure that we're not starting some kids in algebra, some kids in geometry, as several schools do. Because if you make a mistake, and if you take a student who really has very strong skills and put him in the algebra class, which is not quite as rigorous as the geometry class, it becomes almost impossible for him to catch up. So everybody does geometry, but he does geometry on various levels as is appropriate for each individual student. Once they get into 10th grade, when the math teachers really got to know each of the boys and really understands what their levels are, then it's very easy to place them appropriately in an Algebra 1 class and Algebra 2 class. The kids who take Algebra 1 will go on to Algebra 2 and trig in their junior year and take a course we'll call finite math in the 12th grade. What we've done is we've actually looked at the college math placement exams that most college freshmen have to take around the country, and we've designed the 12th grade course to meet those requirements. For the stronger math students, the boys for whom math comes more easily, they will be doing Algebra 2 and trig in the 10th grade, going on to pre-calculus in the 11th grade, and to calculus in the 12th grade. And as the math teachers get to know them, they will decide which level of calculus, whether they will be taking the equivalent of a semester or the equivalent of 2 semesters of college calculus as seniors. So that's just a rough outline of the courses in the various departments. But most important, and I want to stress this again as I began, our goal is the development of skills. Our goal is the development of thinking, critical thinking skills. We have a very, very clear idea. Rabbi Steckler had this from the day he started the school. A very clear idea of what an 18-year-old graduating from Heichal should look like, both in his ability to learn Torah, his ability, as he said, to make a living in Rishon Achronim, but also his ability to do various things in general studies. And our entire curriculum is designed along those lines. And we're very, very thrilled that we've been able to attract, over these years, faculty who very much thinks along these same lines and works with us to achieve these goals. So I think that you can be very, very confident if you send your sons here, and I hope you will, of course, that we will be very, very closely monitoring their curriculum, but also very closely monitoring the needs of each individual student and trying to place him in exactly the class that he belongs.